Man, I love fossils. They're such a cool way of bringing prehistoric animals to the world of Pokemon, but given the fact that Pokemon can just be whatever, that isn't the only way we can connect with the ancient past in the video games. I mean, through the power of ancient power, we were given 3 brand new Pokemon straight out of the Ice Age, and before. Ancient Power is a move that's been around for a while, mostly learned by the aforementioned fossil Pokemon and a lot of legendaries. That checks out, but in Generation 4 it was given the additional capability of allowing certain Pokemon to evolve. Simply by knowing the move, Tangela, Yanma, and Piloswine could evolve into Tangrowth, Yanmega, and Mamoswine. Personally, Mamoswine has always been my favorite. I was a big fan of the previous evolutions, and now finally having a Pokemon inspired by one of the coolest prehistoric animals made it shoot up my list of top Pokemon. While not a fossil Pokemon, it kinda feels like one in spirit. My headcanon had always been that knowing ancient power allowed Piloswine to tap into dormant genes and become the form that once roamed the earth thousands of years ago. A pretty solid theory, and I think it decently explains why ancient power works as an evolution, just that this one gives us a blast from the past. But how does that apply to Yanmega and heck, even Tangrowth? Well, admittedly, the reasons I could come up with in one of the biggest reaches of all time aren't as cool as Mamoswine, but I'll try. For one thing, we know that animals of long ago throughout unrecorded history were very different based on fossils that can be found. While we have dragonflies in the modern day, 300 million years ago there was Meganeura, a bug that closely resembled dragonflies. While not exactly giant, they were definitely larger than the little guys we know today. That is more or less what Yanmega appears to be based on, with more jagged shapes and darker colors that would fit right into an ancient jungle with a higher oxygen climate. A paradox Pokemon before there were even paradox Pokemon. I know a few people think it would be cool if it were a bug dragon type, mostly for the dragonfly pun, but if we approach it from the ancient Pokemon angle, then I feel it would make more sense. Again, that's kind of what they did with the paradox Pokemon, just gave them all a bunch of dinosaur tails. Anyway, that would bring us to Tangrowth, which is where I think my cute little theory kind of falls apart. Sure, it is a beast of a Pokemon, but what about it really screams prehistoric? Nothing in the Pokédex can give us any hints. Most of them just mention how it ensnares prey and has a body of detachable vines that regrow, and the design doesn't do many favors either. I do appreciate that it took the concept of Tangela and made it bigger, but there's no connection to any specific ancient plants. But if we want to get a little fan-fictional, it definitely looks like a swamp monster, basically a grass-type Bigfoot, which could then relate somewhat to cavemen.
Am I glad he's frozen in there and that we're out here?
I mean, the defining feature has always been the vines that resemble hair, so this would basically be a giant hairy man. Certified grug moment. That's kind of all I got, but when it comes to the definitive ancient power Pokemon, yeah, Mamoswine is basically the blueprint being based on mammoths. I mean, the Pokédex entries do a lot to give us an idea of how this Pokemon lived in the ancient world, originally existing in larger numbers 10,000 years ago until the climate grew warmer and most of them died off, potentially mirroring the existence of mammoths in our real world. Apparently the last mammoth died only like 4,000 years ago. That is not a long time in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, unlike the other two, Mamoswine is treated like a Pokemon that nearly went extinct, and I think a lot of people would have assumed it was, as seen in the Pokédex entry for Sword version. That is until some Piloswine were revealed to still be able to learn ancient power. Forget pigs flying, I'd be more surprised if they suddenly turned into mammoths. But even then, we see the scarcity reflected in the video games, where for most of them we're unable to catch Mamoswine in the wild. The outlier was Generation 5, where it could be found in rustling grass in the giant chasm, but for the most part the only way to obtain one was by evolving a Piloswine. And then came the raid battles, but even in Generation 8 we had the Crown Tundra that also was home to a bunch of literal dinosaurs, and then Legends Arceus, which had a lot of time travel shenanigans. Even now I'm pretty happy with the dedication to the bit. My favorite Pokédex entry is one that mentions a frozen Mamoswine was dug up dating back 10,000 years and apparently it was still alive. I think that might be the oldest living non-legendary Pokemon in canon.
Am I glad he's frozen in there and that we're out here?
But the design has got to be one of the most genius things about it. Sure, it looks pretty simple, but that's where the beauty comes in. A lot of other Pokemon are based on 2 different animals mixed together, so why not a boar and mammoth? They are both mammals with fur and tusks. Though I get that if somebody wanted a purely mammoth Pokemon, then Mamoswine might not scratch the itch, because while being massive and an ice type, it is still definitely a boar with a pig nose, or at least you think it is. The feet are 100% elephantine. Looking at Piloswine, it has 2 long toes like a pig, but Mamoswine has these large feet with short toes. Again, they are meant to be a mix of different animals, but it is weird. It surely is more of a modern pig though, keeping the round cartoony look, because ancient boar ancestors were terrifying. Yeah, good thing they made it more like a mammoth. While Scarlet and Violet did give us the paradox Pokemon Great Tusk, a more genuine mammoth Pokemon, I still prefer Mamoswine because it has the ice typing and is actually bigger, coming in at just over 8 feet or 2.5 meters compared to 7 feet or 2.2 meters. Don't let the giant one in the desert fool you, that was a titan. Over in the anime, Dawn's Mamoswine was the absolute MVP. I love how we got to see it go from an excitable little swine-up all the way up to a Mamoswine in such a short amount of time. Because like it isn't the type of Pokemon you would expect a coordinator like Dawn to have, but it provided a good challenge for her and made for a fun concept of breaking the norm. The way it so enthusiastically joined her during contest performances was great. There would be a lot to say getting into specific episodes or moments, but I just really love what they ended up doing with it by making it honestly one of the Pokemon you associate most with Dawn besides Piplup. But those were the ancient power Pokemon, an evolution mechanic I honestly wish we would have seen a lot more of. With all the legacy evolutions that would continue to be added, I'm kinda surprised we didn't use this one more often. I mean, there are still move-related ones, but I think the lore potential of Ancient Power is too good to be forgotten. I personally think it would be a great way to incorporate more Pokemon based on Ice Age animals without needing to dig up the fossil mechanic again. All you would need to do is adjust a Pokemon's moveset, which happens every generation anyway. Recently, I've been thinking that a Sandslash evolution based on the Glyptodon would be a cool idea, but we did already get the Ice-type variant of that one. I guess the point is that these Pokemon are some really special cases, Mamoswine especially because it's the only one that truly does something unique with the concept. Well, let me know what you think about the Pokemon I've covered today and which one is your favorite, and if you think we should revisit the mechanic. Tell me your ideas for more Ancient Power Pokemon. Like I said, Mamoswine always was and forever will be a favorite of mine, and I am so glad we got to take the time to visit the exhibit here at Fossil Frontier, and make sure you check out the other videos put out this year. Anyway, I should get back to thawing out that one we just dug up. He is not getting any younger. Thank you to every channel member for your support, including the Great Gators, Shash, Cosmo Zero, Alex with Shiny Hunts, Tyler Hopper, Lockadox, Koi13, Cemetery Hill, Cheez-It62, Gator Kid 509, TF, Mathaclog947, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our monthly members podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
Legendary Pokemon like Heatran and Regigigas. More amazing Level X than ever before. Pokemon Trading Card Game Diamond and Pearl Legends Awaken. In stores now. Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. 10s containing previously released cards sold separately.